Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So, finally, after 1 year, here I am. So yeah, it's been one hard year for me, but I'm finally back on my YouTube channel to finally publish some videos. And it will be my first video, and for my return, I will do a big mod review about a TNT mod called Epic TNT, which is actually made from one of my friends that I actually know from kind of a long time. And this mod adds a lot, but literally a lot, of new explosives to Minecraft, varying from TNTs to dynamites to even landmines right here. I won't spoil much of the tabs, I will go gradually from the 1 to the tier 2 and so on. Without further ado, let's just try our first TNT. The first TNT is kind of simple and is just called TNT times 2, which let you know that it will make an explosion which is 2 times bigger than a regular TNT, and it's kind of accurate in my opinion. Then we have the TNT times 5, which does a similar thing but it's just 5 times bigger. There it is. So I will go pretty fast with those since those are the most basic ones, and then I have selected 20 of the tier 1 TNTs that I find the most interesting. Okay, so this is the TNT times 10. And here we start to get slightly bigger, as you can see. The TNT times 20. And here it's actually accurate, since I also have the Mega TNT mod. And this is kind of accurate about the TNT sizes. But about this will kind of not continue, since I do think that the TNT times 50 is really big to be a TNT times 50. Just look at this. Yeah, I do think this is more like a times 80 TNT, at least. But to make you notice one thing, all of those TNTs are literally instant after the entity disappear and generate those type of explosion instantly. And this crater is probably around 70 blocks wide. And now, with the TNT times 100, you will notice how much optimized this mod is. There it is. This is a 100 blocks wide spherical crater. And this is not even the strongest tier 1 in the mod, and of course, it's not even close to the strongest TNT of this mod, which you will see later. But okay, now let's get to the more original TNT. The first one, which I really like a lot, is the fireball cannon. And you will see what it does. Okay, so, as you can see, it just generated a fireball, but this fireball isn't the classic gas fireball, the fireball made from gas, or the one you usually use in Minecraft PvP. But look. This is a really big fireball, which make a decent sized crater. It's actually the vanilla 127 explosion, and it makes a lot of rays with fire. So, as you can see, if it isn't like the TNT times 100, it's still pretty destructive. Especially doing a lot of damage even in the further zones, such as 100 blocks away. Look at this. But I do think that now we are actually going to test the strongest TNT in the tier 1, which is the Moab, which is actually the strongest in real life non-nuclear explosion. I do think this is slightly bigger than the TNT times 100 that is right there. And yeah, I love the crater shape of this. It's just barely an irregular sphere, and it looks just so satisfying on any Minecraft world you will try this bomb. Here I am with another 8 TNTs from this mod, and here I do think we are actually getting even more original. since the first one of those is the common TNT, which in my opinion isn't common for what it does. So of course you will see a big explosion that it makes, but look at this shape, it's actually a cosine explosion, which really looks satisfying, and it's actually also really big for being a tier 1. Then we have an even more original one, the Egg Pelter TNT. Just look at this. Yeah, this is hilarious. It like launches off hundreds, if not 1,000 eggs, and some of them just spawns baby chickens. So yeah, this is really original. A kind of similar one, which you will see right now, is the explosive fountain bomb. This is original too, of course, since it's similar to the Egg Pelter. And this does the same thing, but with TNTs, so it's just much more dangerous. And it will continue for like 10 or 12 seconds. So yeah, I do think that if you want to do a TNT war with your friend, the tier 1 of this mod are clearly the limits before actually finishing the game after 2 TNTs, since this one literally just did this amount of damage. Then we do have a simpler one, which I actually like. There is in some TNT mods, which is the house TNT. And yeah, it generates a house, which is actually kind of cool. I always like house TNTs. Here you have a chest, a furnace, and a crafting table, and a bed. So just barely enough for you to survive. So yeah, this house does not spoil you, but it clearly makes you live through your survival world. And then we get to something big. There it is, the big TNT. So if you ignite this really close to you, you will see that it disappears. So what does it actually do? This. It just makes itself way bigger, and it also makes a big boom sound. And this is the results. These are the results, we can say, since this is a pretty big area, as you can see. Now we have the whole TNT. I don't have anything to say about this. It just does its job and makes a kind of big hole, which is also really deep. I do think it's around 50 blocks deep, and I think it also goes 50 blocks upwards, so with a total of 100 blocks deep. This is the result. Now we have the flashbang TNT. I actually really like the texture of this one. What it does, it literally just gives you the blindness effect, and can be dangerous, especially if ignited on survival against your friend. But after this thing I said, which I don't know if it's correct, we do have the mob TNT. Okay, so this TNT generate a random mob. Please shut up. A random mob from Minecraft. So it can be any mob, from passive to aggressive ones. As you can see now, it's a snow golem. In this case we have a phantom. So yeah, look at this fight. So yeah, any mob from the game can be generated from this TNT. It can be kind of dangerous in some cases. Now, we do have the last 4 TNTs from this tier, which we'll see right now. The first one is the small cube TNT. I like this texture since it's not all the same color of green, but my friend actually make it slightly darker or slightly lighter, the tonality of the green. And yeah, it's just an overall cool texture. This does this job, especially that the cube, in my opinion, isn't this small. The next one is the small knockback TNT. This one actually is really cool, and you will see what it does. It just knocks you back an interesting amount of blocks, around 20 I think. Now this is the incendiary TNT. There is also a fire TNT variation, but I will just try this since it's bigger and I like this the most. It made a powerful blast, covering every part of its crater with fire. Now we will extinguish this fire with the sea TNT, which is kind of self-explanatory. It just covers a big area with water. Not around the sea level, but it's tier 1, so we have to understand that those TNT aren't that much exaggerated. It was honestly hard to choose, but at the end, from all these tier 2 TNTs, I managed to choose 15 of them, which I find the most interesting. Without further ado again, let's start with one of the smallest in the tier 2, which is actually the TNT times 200. I stuttered a bit, but there it is. Kind of self-explanatory. This TNT is just really powerful. And now, an even more powerful one is the TNT times 500. I like the design of this one, the color, everything about this. And I also do like the big explosion it has made. But okay, now we do have our first 4-digit number TNT times, which is the TNT times 1000. Okay, so this is actually one of the first that looks intimidating from the texture too. Pitch black, kind of pitch black, with a 1k on it. So it does scream danger, and it clearly makes a dangerous situation to be near to this TNT, since in most of the case it would be instant death. Now I do think this spherical crater is actually even wider than 200 blocks, which is insane, especially again from only a tier 2 TNT. Another big one, big in all senses in this case, is the large TNT, which is a bigger variation of the big TNT from the tier 1. And this is literally so big, it's like 6 blocks tall I think, of a prime TNT entity. Yeah, I have to remember to shut up because I have to make you hear the explosion sound of this, so I will just retry it again. Really satisfying. Next one is the big TNT rain, and in this case it's a kind of a different explosion from what you've saw until now. This isn't one direct explosion like those, but I do think, I'm not thinking, I know what this does from the name too. It makes a big TNT rain, in this case of TNT times 3. And of course, the results are kind of expected. A mass destruction in a wide area, more than deeper. Next one is the big flat TNT, which might not sound intimidating as the others, but you will clearly see that it is intimidating. So you kind of know how flat TNT works. This one flattens out a very big area, and so far this is the widest TNT we have tried on this mod, since it's probably around 300 blocks wide from what I see. The upward height isn't of course this much, since the destruction it can make, actually a creative type of destruction in my opinion, is still really big, even though it's only like 20 blocks height. Next one, which is again a bigger variation of a tier 1, is the mega explosive fountain bomb. Let's place it on the highest tree here and just look. In this case, the TNTs emitted from the fountain aren't normal TNTs, but TNT times 50. Yeah, most of them actually got stuck here. And look for how much time this thing continues to just emit TNTs from the center. And yeah, in this case, the word was... No, it wasn't. It was said about kind of lucky since we tried this high up in the air, but the TNT still managed to hit the ground, to have the time to hit the ground and making just this much damage. How it created a big area, a kind of ring-shaped area. It left the middle kind of intact except of that deep hole right there, and it just destroyed a further zone right here, making a ring-shaped explosion. And I don't know this, but I do think this is the strongest tier 2. Just look how much damage overall it just did. We also have reached bedrock. It's the first tier 2 to reach bedrock. So yeah, the mega explosive fountain bomb clearly earns his name. Now we do get to a new category of TNTs, which are the nukes. Perfect for killing zombies who disturb me, who bother me. And this is the smallest nuke that we'll see in this mod. I will just shut up now. I did shut up to let you hear the sound of this. The crater isn't the biggest we have saw so far, but it does make nuclear wastes, which of course I won't go into survival since it's kind of explanatory of what they will do to me. And it also gave me nuclear fallout effect. In this case, since it was the smallest, the nuclear fallout does not last long. But now you will see what's next. I said this since after the mini nuke we have the small nuke. And apart from making a way bigger crater, it also gave me a way longer time of nuclear fallout. I think if before it was 20 seconds, now it's 50 seconds. Which I do think are clear enough to kill you in survival mode. And yeah, the crater clearly got bigger. Another interesting one is the chunk buster, in this case the plus variation. There is also a weaker one from the same tier, which is kind of interesting since of course it can cause mass destruction, but you will see. So if it may look bugged at first, it isn't. It only destroys the block below it in a big area in this case. So to make this TNT as much destructive as possible, you have to place it in the highest point of your world. Let's try again. So in this case, you will see a lot of differences from here. The whole area just got vaporized, and this looks much more impactful than the one before. Now, another category, I mean we are still in the nuke zone, but in this case we are in the real life nukes. From the names of course. And this is the Fat Man atomic bomb. Okay, so it does the same nuke alarm, but the boom is different. And I do think this is more intimidating than the other nuke variation, which is, we can say, the creative ones, while these are the real life ones. And yeah, just look at the damage. Mob or TNT. So if you connect this to the tier 1 TNT, you will see what this does. Instead of just spawning one mob, please shut up, ghast, it makes literally just self-explanatory a horde of mobs. different ones, passive, aggressive, sometimes can also do mob fights, as you see. A creeper just exploded. And that's it for this. Now we have the cluster TNT. So I didn't make use of a TNT from the tier 1, which is a small cluster, which kind of just spawns prime TNT entities, I think around 20 of them. This is the bigger variation, that spawns small cluster TNT, and this will do their job. They spawn a lot, probably thousands of prime TNT entities, which will clearly devastate and kill the poor mobs or the poor ground around it. Another, I don't know if to consider this a variation of the real life nuke, but I do think so. The salted one. So, I don't exactly know what is the difference. I expect that the explosion is slightly smaller. In this case it was a little boy. Oh, now I see the difference. So, apart from making a probably slightly smaller crater, since the little boy, the regular little boy is kind of slightly bigger than this, those variation is way more dangerous since it has a bigger area of radiation, so you will probably get radiation also from here, but it does spawn a more dangerous radiation, and much more of them. Just the whole crater in this case is covered, almost entirely covered with radiation blocks. Last one of this tier is the uncommon TNT. So as the name says, it's really similar to the common TNT from tier 1, especially it's way bigger. And just look the width of this TNT. Even if it's like a more wider than deeper TNT, this still managed to reach the deep slate and actually went pretty below it. I mean, this looks like 90 blocks deep, at least. And this big boom is the final TNT from the tier 2. At least, for me, it looks the biggest of the tier 2. So now, I've took 9 TNTs from the tier 3. I kinda have to speed up since I really love this mod, but the video does not have to be hours long, so I just took 9 of them. But of course, this will still satisfy you. And the first one, as you can see, is a TNT times 2000. From the massive crater it creates, it is still instant. That's why I love this mod. And yeah, I do think this is a 300 blocks wide explosion. And killed everything that was on the spherical zone, the spherical crater that it made. And we have also reached bedrock. Another one, talking about massive. Now we do have a massive TNT in all senses, in all ways. Just look at this. Just look how big this is. This also has a longer fuse than regular TNTs, so way more than it is. And it also has a big boom. Yeah, it's kind of around the same size, if not slightly bigger than the TNT times 2000. I do think it's bigger, from just seeing it, even from here. Next one, the country buster. Guess the country. Yeah, no hate of course. I'm just joking. Yeah, I did not make this TNT, but of course there is no hate, it's just pure satire. Yeah, in this case I placed this on a high tree, so the damage that it has done is clearly impressive, and probably even more than the massive TNT. It just wiped out a cubicle, not in this case I don't think it's even cubicle, because it's probably taller than wider. Just wiped out a gigantic area. Okay, so to limit the next TNT, since this is, as you can see from the common rarities, we have the rare TNT. Those TNT are just really big. And it does the same cosine explosion. And even if it's wider than deeper, this TNT managed to destroy a whole mountain, go to deep slate, and was capable of doing this much damage. Just look how this cosine explosion develops based on how much height are the blocks. So, for example, here there was still a mountain, another mountain I think, and this went up even here. And the width of this TNT still impressed me, the width of this TNT rarity, since this will not be the last one TNT of this category. Now, without further ado again, Super Cube TNT. It can look like the Country Buster, but this one actually also destroys the block above it, but is kind of limited in height, since it is the same height from the width and the depth. And as the name says, it makes a super cube. Now, we introduce a new category that I will make you see now from this mod, which are the volcanic eruption. There were 2 TNTs weaker than this in the tier 1 and 2, but we will see, since I'm Italian, the Mount Vesuvius, large eruption TNT. Okay, so the type of this crater does not have a big sound for an explosion, but as you can see, apart from making a huge crater, which is of course the explosive eruption of the Vesuvius, this also covered all the crater with lava. So if you somehow manage to survive the explosion, the lava will do its job. And yeah, look at the size of that. Next one, the unique impact. I think this is a new category too that I will make you see in this video right now. So this simulates the impact of an asteroid that just fell down off the Earth. The difference between the volcano one is that this covers the entire spherical crater with fire. The last one, TNT, I will make you see from the tier 3 is the B-83 hydrogen bomb, an in real life category nuke, which is actually a bomb of 1.2 megatons. This TNT is 1200 kilotons, which is 1.2 megatons. So, holy loud boom, this covered all the crater with nuclear fallout and radiation, or just how you want to call this. And this is probably really close to be the strongest, if not the strongest, tier 3 TNT. Just look the size of this crater, and this is still a tier 3. Just look at the achievements I got from just taking the tier 4. Okay, so I've took 9 of the tier 4 from Epic TNT. The first one, without saying just anything, is the TNT times 5000. I don't think 5000 TNT can do this much damage. Next one, we double this and try the TNT times 10,000. Just look at the optimization of this. Being this big, look how big. The crater generation after the prime TNT entity is still instant. So this is what we are talking about now. Next one is the Ultra Biome Buster, which you will probably know at this point of the video what does this do. Especially from making mass destruction, this destroys the blocks below it in a much wider area than any of the busters before. I do think, since I know my friend, I think he told me, this is actually the strongest tier 4. Even stronger than the TNT times 10,000. It is around the same width, I do think around 580 to 500 blocks wide. But this one is, first of all, apparently cubical here, since we reached bedrock. But it's also way deeper, making the damage of this TNT the strongest of the tier 4. Next one, we do have the B-41 thermonuclear weapon or bomb. One of the strongest in real life nukes, but still not the strongest, of course. I don't know how this sounded on the video, I will check later. I hope this wasn't any rape. The boom sound was clearly loud as hell. Massive. Next one, we actually have a really creative one in my opinion, which is called the unstable nuke. In this case it's the super variation of it, super unstable nuke. So, when you first ignite this might sound the regular nuke we'll try. I do think the boom sound was different from the other nukes, but basically this is a random TNT in creator generation, since in this case, even if it is a nuke, it made a cubical crater or rectangular tank, we can say. The rectangular tank is wider than deeper, or the opposite. And in this case, even if it's a nuke, it didn't make the radiation. But if I do try another one, for example, you will see that the crater will probably be different. In this case, it was a spherical crater that actually destroyed bedrock. So this just lets you know how much unstable this thing is. Next one, I do think this is the most iconic one from the mod. The Epic TNT. Yeah, this is the mod logo. So I do think this is the most iconic TNT from the mod. And yeah, just admire of what this TNT is capable to do. It makes a gigantic cosine explosion, which I don't think I can even render with 32 chunks render distance. This has the chance to be the widest tier 4 of the Epic TNT mod. Next one, I just can't skip this TNT category since I do think it's my favorite one, the enormous TNT. So you ignite this disappear. Where did it go? Okay, now I know. This has a way longer fuse again than any other TNTs, probably around 10 seconds. Let's hear the boom. I mean, it wasn't that loud in decibels, but the boom was really deep and really powerful. And here we are with another massive spherical crater. But now we do get a little bit more original, even if we are in a tier 4, the mass destruction zone I would call this. The error. So, what is different between this and the TNTs we have tried before? The crater shape. So instead of making a sphere or a cube, this is what it does. So, I can explain this. It's kind of a spherical explosion, but instead of making a sphere with blocks, it makes a sphere with chunks sections, which are basically sections of 16 by 16 blocks. And this is the beautiful, bad, I don't know, result that you get. Depends if you like this shape or not. Last one of the tier 4 we are trying for this video is the Varianium bomb. I don't exactly remember what this does. So let's see. Okay, now I do see what this does. It's one of the variations of the unstable nuke. A powerful nuke which makes a really big cubical explosion. This also looks really wide. And is probably not one of the weakest tier 4, but I do think one of the strongest at this point. But yeah, that's it for the tier 4. Let's pass to the tier 5. So yeah, those are the achievements I just got by taking the tier 5. And here we start, kind of with a basic one, even if it's not basic in damage, the TNT times 20. And from here on, the name of the TNT gets red. Yeah, I just love how, even if an explosion is this big, look how big, it is still instant. after the prime TNT entity disappears. So I do think that this is the best TNT mod to ever exist on Minecraft. Because if you search anything, since this TNT mod literally has every TNT you can ever think of, more than 200 explosive, so it's probably also the biggest one to exist on Minecraft. If you want mass destruction, every type of crater just generates instantly without making you wait minutes. So this mod is really goated. Next one is the solar system buster. We can try this close to the times 20,000. The area below the TNT got completely annihilated. And this, I do think this is even wider. Oh my god. Yeah, this is even wider, even if it's a cube and not a sphere at least. From a world that is not this deep. Yeah, a world that is enough deep for those TNTs is probably a 500 one. This is really one of the biggest tier 5, I do think. Next one. It's probably kind of original too, since here we get introduced not to a new type of explosion, crater structure, but to just a more original TNT, called a Time Warper. First of all, the explosion sound is different from the others, but the second thing is that the shape is kind of different too. Even if it's an ellipsoid, it is still much more wider than deeper, since after only a few hundreds of blocks it reaches bedrock instead of reaching it instantly. And I can also say to you that this is the widest tier 5, I do think it's the widest tier 5, being over 1000 blocks wide. But in terms of blocks destroyed, I don't think this is even close to be the strongest tier 5. And it made this thing. Next one is the final TNT rain from the Epic TNT mod, the strongest one, the apocalyptic TNT rain. Let's see what it does. It makes TNT rain, which TNT? A TNT times 1000. Oh wow. Yeah, in this case I froze for 1 second, but I do think it was justified, because the area around me just got completely annihilated. Completely annihilated. Next one is the Bozo, your potato cannot explode this. So, at first you might think look at the drawing of this TNT texture. You might think it just crashes your PC instantly, but this is not the case. This is a bigger variation of the error that you saw in tier 4. Way bigger. So, you won't notice it first since how much big this TNT is, but it generates a spherical crater, but with chunk section again. And yeah, now this is an average damage that a tier 5 does, so... yeah, no words. Next one, a kind of paired one from other TNT mods, the antimatter bomb. And speaking of Mega TNT mod, the mod I'm making, and which there will be a surprise soon, this is kind of tie with the size of my antimatter bomb. It's over 600 blocks wide. Let's hear the sound now. So after the boom, the TNT actually boom. It generates the crater instantly, again, and this is a perfect spherical crater. Yeah, it merged with the Bozo your potato, can't explode this. And I don't have many comments to say from this, it's just an incredibly gigantic explosion. But yeah, it's an antimatter bomb, what do you expect at the end? Next one, an even more dangerous one, the dark matter bomb. I will let you hear the sound. The sound is kind of funny. As you can see, the entities that were near me literally got vaporized in a fraction of a second. And this is the big brother of the antimatter bomb. This is 900 blocks wide. So, you might ask, what is even bigger than a dark matter bomb? The answer is right here. The Supernova, which is the strongest tier 5 of Epic TNT Mod. The guess is kind of simple. If dark matter was 900 blocks wide, how wide is the Supernova? Yeah, 1000 blocks wide. 4-digit wide explosion. Just hear the sound. If you don't like this TNT, I don't know what are your TNT tastes, but are really weird. The explosion sound was magnificent in my opinion. The crater, it is what it is, a 1000 blocks wide explosion, and it covered all of the crater with a substance that isn't actually magma, but I forgot the name. It's actually red plasma. And this TNT puts an end for the tier 5 TNTs we are trying today. But you may ask, Manu, what is actually missing from this mod made by iInvis after that type of crater? There are still some tiers missing, since now I took 4 of the tier 6 TNTs, which are even bigger. Any of these is bigger than the Supernova we have tried there. The first one, TNT times 100,000 red texture, explodes instantly, and in this case, from here on, you won't even see bedrock again at the bottom of the crater. Since those TNTs from tier 6 on gets rid of bedrock like nothing, just like it's stone, dirt, any block. I don't remember the width of this TNT, but of course, as you can see, it's over 1000 blocks wide. And it's not even close to be the biggest TNT from this mod. This next one is the big TNT. And in this case I can see it big. Since if I go far away, I continue walking, you will see what you are about to explode. Oh wow. This is probably, from what I'm seeing, 50 blocks tall at least. Even more. Let's hear the boom. A long fuse, by the way. Come on. Oh no. Oh no. Wow. I didn't remember the explosion sound to be like this. My friend really is an original dude, I can say. And this does look even bigger than the one we have tried before, the TNT times 100,000. But yeah, the fact that an explosion of this caliber, of this size, is generated instantly after the TNT entity, I don't know how many times I repeated this, is crazy. What is the next one? The mythic TNT. Okay, so I will just try this as high as possible, even though I struggle to think that this won't reach bedrock and destroy it. Since those explosions are wider than deeper, but even so, since we are now at a tier 6, even if I place this really high up, the entire world comprised, with counting bedrock, completely disappeared from my vision. And It is one of the crater border, just chilling there, thousands of blocks away. I think 1,000 blocks away in this case, since this is the widest of the tier 6. But I think you can guess that. Last one, from the tier 6, the type 2 supernova. So yeah, we got an even stronger supernova to try. Let's hear the sound. So a never bigger explosion than the regular supernova. I will just walk with my spectator mod, making you see the coordinates, making you see that I am, of course, too. I'm walking hundreds of blocks, nothing is appearing. There I am, after walking, I think around 1,000 blocks or 800 blocks. And this is radius, since from the center of the crater I walked 800 blocks. This is an around, I don't know, 1,800 blocks wide explosion. And this TNT actually placed green plasma, which is more dangerous, of course, than the red plasma from the supernova. And guess what? The tier 6 aren't even the biggest TNTs from this mod. We have the tier 7, where I took 3 of the most interesting ones. And the first one is an hypernova. No words from this. Probably the biggest nova of this mod. I mean, the name is kind of self-explanatory. Forgive me, iInvis, if this isn't the biggest nova. But yeah. How big this is, you may ask? I can spoiler to you, you won't think I lie. This TNT is 3,000 blocks wide. By just walking, I do see all the entities falling down to their death. And I have reached one of the crater borders right here. This place is... one sec. I do think it's dark blue plasma, one of those two. Either blue plasma or dark blue plasma. And this, we can say, is the second... Yeah, it is the second after the TNT times 1 million. Oh. And welcome to the tier 7 TNTs. Nonsense big. Second one we are trying is the Chrono Rift. A really cool name for a TNT. The texture is really cool too. Let's just see what this does. Average tier 7. Just destroys you world without any... without any rethinking, you can say. I do think this is a way bigger variation than Time Warper. And let me just get to the border, one border of the crater. There I finally am to the border of the one border of the crater. So I mean, since the size of this is so massive that you won't probably even notice, this is like the Time Warper. It is a way wider and deeper explosion. Since you can see that it didn't literally just went straight forward to bedrock and destroy it, but it kind of made a flat ellipsoid crater that isn't probably like 1,000 blocks deep, but this thing is probably around at least 4,000 blocks wide. So what is next is the Universe Buster. I mean, what can you possibly expect from a TNT called Universe Buster? Yeah, from seeing this video until now, you will see, probably say that this does not destroy the block upwards to it. In this case, even if it is a buster, it does, cause why not? It's literally called a Universe Buster, so why shouldn't it destroy the block above it too? But at least in this case, it had some mercy for at least leaving the bedrock, so we can see the crater in a better way. And if I go to spectator mode, and I'm starting from the center of the crater. Just see how much big of an explosion we are talking about. And this is spectator mode. And now, I can spoiler to you that there is still one more tier which is stronger than this. I'm still walking, trying, and the chunks are struggling to load in. Yeah, bro, this is apocalyptic. Literally every entity is just falling down and there is no stop for this TNT. Oh my god. I mean, I do remember it to be really big, but this big? I do think I've walked for around 3000 blocks in radius, so this thing is at least 5000 blocks wide. And again, this is not the strongest tier, because the strongest tier, finally, here we are, the strongest tier of this mod, is the tier 8. Rape. So any of this TNT name is dark black, so you won't see it from the inventory. Let me just take 1 and 2 TNTs from this. Also the TNTs as a rarity here. In this case, the first one was common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, mythic. Yeah, just you can guess it from the TNT name. Mythic, divine. In this case, we have 2 rarities, which are omnipotent for the first 7, and the last 2 are impossible, so even stronger. Probably an hypothetical tier 9 or tier infinite, you can say. Without further ado, let's try the first one. What is this? A TNT times 1 billion. Billion. So there isn't any TNT that even comes close to being a 1 billion times. I saw some 50,000, 100,000 from this mod or other mods, but 1 billion. Let's just try this. Let's see how much it takes to actually load. So it took 2 seconds. Just 2 mere seconds, we can say, to make the world completely disappear. To just completely disappear from my vision, since if I do this, I go here, everything is completely annihilated. But how much big is this? I do think I even forgot. But if I do TP myself, for example, let me see real quick. 4028. And let's just add 27,000 from 12,000. Let me see if I guessed right. We go, I don't know, slightly back. Okay. So you may ask, how much wide is this? TNT times 1 billion. Calculating from 12,000 to 25,500, we get to a 13,500 blocks of radius, which multiplied by 2, we do get that this TNT is a 27,000 blocks wide spherical explosion. 27,000 blocks wide explosion. And I also do think, if I remember correctly, my friend iInvis told me that this is the weakest TNT from this tier. The tier 8. Can you believe this? But what is the strongest TNT of tier 8? I do already have it in my hands. Just called Please Don't. Okay, so this might be so big that even a mod as optimized as this, the most optimized TNT mod to exist on Minecraft, isn't maybe able to explode. Since this thing is another, it's an even different beast from that one. This is capable of destroying 1 quadrillion blocks in your Minecraft world. Quadrillion. This one was around, I do think, 20 trillion, which is already inhuman, unthinkable, but this one is a 1 quadrillion blocks explosion. So let's hope this explodes. This managed to explode. This will take a while. In any case, iInvis, I'm sorry if this does not explode. I do have attempted it. So yeah, just imagine a TNT being capable of destroying this much. Okay, it made a creepy sound. I didn't remember this. Okay, I'm starting to lag a little bit. So this is what we are talking about. The strongest and probably one of the scariest TNT to ever exist on Minecraft. If you want a TNT that is the max destruction of what you can ever think, even if in your dreams, this is clearly the one that I would recommend so far on Minecraft. Okay, so change of plans. I've waited 3 minutes, and my friend just told me that I was wrong. This is not a 1 quadrillion blocks destroyed explosion. This is so big that just continues eating your world, your says everything that is in your world, and the crater is so big that not even the entire Minecraft world can load it. So this is capable of destroying just everything that you can see here that isn't loaded there. Everything of your Minecraft world without any hesitation or any exception. So yeah, I do think and I hope to survive to this TNT after quitting the Minecraft world. This was it from the Epic TNT mod. There are also, let me see, I can't go to spectate to creative mode. There are also some dynamites or some landmines that are really fun to try, which are smaller than the TNTs. And just see you before I crash to my next video, which will be another big thing.